It gives me great pleasure to welcome at this event Her Excellency, the Minister of Education from Finland, Ms Sanni Grahn-Laasonen, His Excellency, Ambassador of Finland to South Africa, Mr. Kari Alanku, Professor Ihron Rensburg, the Vice-Chancellor and Principal of the University of Johannesburg, Dr. Whitfield Green, Chief Director for Teaching and Learning Development in the South African Department of Higher Education and Training, all the members of the Finnish delegation, and if you would allow me to say a special word of welcome to our distinguished visiting professor from the University of Helsinki, Professor Jari Lavonen. Jari. And then to you, members of the audience. It's indeed a privilege to have you here at our Soweto campus. But I will invite our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ihron Rensburg, to do the official welcome. Thank you. Professor Rensburg.
All right. I was saying that for us South Africans, this is a little bit cool. But the first thing I heard from Minister Laasonen was, this is beautiful weather. You know, and I looked at my colleagues' faces, and it was, where's she from? With respect. And of course it made quite good sense. So allow me also then to take this opportunity to recognize Her Excellency, the Minister of Education of Finland, Ms Sanni Grahn-Laasonen. It's a very special privilege and a great honor for us to host you this morning, and we really appreciate the time that you took this morning in particular to really get to grips with the school, Funda Ujabule, and we could see that you were having great fun, that you were in fact giving life to Funda Ujabule, Fun, learn with joy. And we could see that you wanted to spend even more time with our young children, our young pupils this morning, and we were really inspired by your energy and by your engagement with them, and really just want to extend our sincere appreciation that you could find all of that time to spend with them, to go around the classes, to ask the questions that you have, and for our colleagues to be able to respond. So we extend a very warm word of welcome to you. Of course, to also recognize His Excellency, the Ambassador, Alenko. It's again a very special privilege to welcome you to the University of Johannesburg. Allow me obviously to acknowledge the Executive Dean, our colleague and very good friend, Dr. Green, from the department, the Chief Director in the department, National Department of Education, responsible for teaching and learning. And of course to recognize all of the colleagues and friends from Finland who have come out in great numbers. It's a very special privilege and a great joy for us to extend our hearts to you in welcome. Our senior colleagues here at the University of Johannesburg, our academics, our students, and our friends and colleagues from partner schools, please feel welcome. It's very difficult, I must concede, when I'm given 5 minutes to do a welcome, but I have to try my very best. I want to begin, Minister, by saying that we find ourselves here at the foothills of the Ihron Hills. It's a very special place, not only for us here in South Africa, but for Southern Africans and Africans more generally. And specifically, the South African national anthem has its roots just on the foothills, or on the top of these foothills, where many years ago, Enoch Sontonga wrote the national anthem, what became the national anthem of South Africa, an anthem that calls on the gods that we bow down to bless Africa, to bless South Africa, and to enable its people to build a far better society than they had inherited. And so our Soweto campus, therefore, is a very special location, a very special place for us. And so when we say Sanibonani in our local isiZulu language, it is not just hello, how are you? It is, in fact, a sound, a call from the depths of our hearts that says, I see you. So it's not just hello. It says, I see you. I see you in your totality. I see you body, mind, spirit. I see you in time, history, present, and future. And I know that as we meet together today, that our journeys will never, ever be the same again. And so when we greet you in that isiZulu manner, Sanibonani, that's what it means. It means that our journeys from here on will never be the same because of the impact and the influence you have introduced into our journeys. And so I extend, therefore, that welcome to you and our very best wishes to you as well. I often do this because I remind myself and I remind my colleagues that in the Nguni languages, or more broadly in Southern African culture and tradition, including the Khoi and the San tradition, so the much wider footprint of Southern African culture and tradition, welcome ranks, to say welcome, Sanibonani ranks amongst one of the most important moments in one's life journey. And there are, of course, others, such as the arrival of a child that has to be celebrated in a particular manner, the journey of a child, for example, a male child from childhood into adulthood, is equally a very important turning point. And so we have several of these celebratory moments. And so we do celebrate as well as Africans, and we do recognize the roles of those who have gone before us, our ancestors who have made us, and of course the journeys that lie ahead. But perhaps saying Sanibonani ranks amongst the most important of our rituals and traditions that reflect our worldview or our philosophy. I end off by again welcoming you to a very special campus. Of course, you will not all have had the opportunity to explore the footprint of the Soweto campus of the university. You may not have the time to do so. And so I simply want to make the point that the Soweto campus of the University of Johannesburg has always been conceived and has been given meaning and life to as a flagship of the University of Johannesburg. We were deeply committed to and continue that commitment to ensuring that the beautiful people of Soweto and more broadly of Gauteng and South Africa will have a premier university in their township. That they don't have to go to the suburbs and the downtowns and uptowns of Johannesburg and of our cities across the length and breadth of our country. Because the people of Soweto were inspirational in forging the nation forward and making it possible for us to break through and break out of apartheid colonialism. And so we continue that journey of building here a fantastic campus, the research chairs that we host on this campus, inside our childhood education flagship initiative, is a small illustration and representation of our deep commitment to advancing the cause of those who continue to be excluded and exploited in our nation. And so, for example, a full third of the students at UJ come from quintile 1 and quintile 2 schools, meaning schools that serve the poorest in our nation. And so if we're looking for a model university that embraces all, not only the elites, but embraces the marginalized and the exploited and the excluded, it is this university. And it is that which continues to inspire us as we nurture this wonderful Funda Ujabule school that we have given life to on this campus. A fantastic research school, an amazing model school for our teachers to undertake their training, and of course a school that grapples with, as I put it to Minister Laasonen, it grapples with the extraordinary difficult burden of language. If there is one thing that is causing public schooling in South Africa to be as troubled as it is that elephant that is in the room. Our inability until now to have grasped and tackled that fundamental problem of the colonial language English being introduced only 5 years into the learning of the majority of our children. And so the absorption, the learning of science and technology, of maths, occurs in English only from grade 5 onwards. That can't continue. That must stop. And so here at this school, we make every effort to demonstrate the journey that our nation needs to go in tackling that elephant in the room. I don't think many of us appreciate that the manner in which we introduce language in our schools is the biggest obstacle to our schools and our universities flourishing. And so on that note, again, Sanibonani, and enjoy the seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor Rensburg. And please allow me also to acknowledge the very important role that you have played, not only in establishing the University of Johannesburg, but also for supporting this vision of establishing the Funda Ujabule School at this campus. Without your support, none of this would have been possible. Thank you very much. It also gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Whitfield Green. Now, Dr. Whitfield Green is the Chief Director for Teaching and Learning Development in the Department of Higher Education and Training, but is also a very good friend of teacher education in this country. And he has also been an unwavering supporter of the work that we have been doing here at our Soweto campus. So, Dr. Green, it's always for us a privilege to have you with us. And he will make some introductory remarks.
Thank you very much, Prof. Gravett, especially for the invitation to say a few words, I think, at this very important event. I want to also record my thanks specifically to Professor Rensburg for the strong support he has provided to UJ teacher education initiatives and the leadership that he has displayed in relation to supporting teacher education to move forward in the country. We heard his strong views on the language issue in education, and we can transfer from that the language issue in teacher education, and I think wise words that we need to take forward. The Department of Higher Education and Training warmly welcomes Her Excellency the Minister and the Finnish delegation to South Africa. We have had a number of engagements over the last 2 days, and it's really been enlightening to engage with the colleagues and to share views on a range of issues. Finnish education achievements are well known in South Africa, and are much admired. And we look forward to learning a lot from you going forward, especially in this seminar. Teachers and teacher education quality are key contributors to the quality of education in the country. And Finland's emphasis on this is recognized as a key contributor to its education achievements. South Africa, too, has increasingly focused on the leverage that teachers and teacher education offers to improve our education systems. In recent years, we have had a massive focus on teacher education, but I focused largely on growing the size. In response to a dire shortage of teachers that we were experiencing in about 2006 to 2008. We have largely overcome that challenge and now are capable of producing many more teachers for the South African system. Our concerns are around quality. What about the quality of those teachers? And that really is where our focus needs to be in the next few years going forward. Not to say we've completely ignored it in the past, but we certainly have to shift our emphasis quite strongly as we move into the future. We have huge diversity across our teacher education system. We have experienced one example here at UJ. I want to say a flagship and a leader in the country, but we have different experiences that teacher education students have at the range of different universities in the country. And that is something we have to work collectively as a nation to address. Teacher education programs at universities across the country differ substantially in relation to the content that they cover, the competences that they develop, the time that they dedicate, the teachers that teach on those programs, and the practical experiences that students have as they engage in those programs. And it's something that collectively with the Dean's Forum and with a range of universities, we are working to address. We know that we're not attracting and producing enough able teachers to support learning in the early years. It's one of the reasons why we've been a strong supporter of the initiative here at the University of Johannesburg. If we can crack the early years learning challenge, I think we can crack the education challenge in the country. And we have to focus our attention on the early years. It is about attracting the best young minds to become teachers in the foundation phase that will assist us to reach this. And so we need a collective responsibility of society to encourage those who aspire to be teachers of children in the early years, and good teachers. Our new teacher graduates, by and large, struggle with the language complexities in our schools. Prof. Rensburg has articulated this excellently. They're inadequately prepared to deal with mother tongue instruction and to deal with the development of English. It's a dual challenge. If we say mother tongue instruction, we have a challenge in that area. The challenge of introducing English right from the start presents a further challenge, and we have to be able to take this forward. The research has shown that reading presents a specific difficulty. We are producing teachers out of our Bachelor of Education programs that are not able to teach children how to read. And that is a travesty, in my opinion. The Funda Ujabule experience has highlighted the way forward in this regard. And I'm sure the colleagues that walked around the school this morning could see the massive advances that the young learners in this school have made in terms of their language development trajectory. We have to be able to take the learning from this school across the country. That's the challenge. The disjuncture between theory and practice in teacher education in the country is also a concern. So our universities have been charged with the accusation that they are producing theoretical teachers. Teachers who are actually coming out much stronger in content knowledge, but not able to transfer that knowledge into curricular knowledge in the school setting. Now, that's not the responsibility of universities alone. It's the responsibility of the education system collectively. If we have schools that are resistant to assisting universities to develop teachers, we're not going to be able to address the practice problem going forward. And we are seeing that. We are seeing schools refusing to take teacher education students, refusing to mentor those students, refusing to support them. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. Because at the end of the day, we won't get the teachers we need. And we have to address this issue. We are very positive that we are finding a way forward. South Africa has a unique way of dealing with its challenges, collectively. And we can see that happening in teacher education as well. Innovative practices have already started to emerge. We can see the example of the University of Johannesburg and the kind of innovative practices that are emerging here. I must acknowledge, Minister, the EU support that has been provided to the Department of Education, Higher Education and Training that has enabled the department to support the initiatives here at Funda Ujabula. We have to acknowledge. And thank you very much for that. Another promising development in the country is the Primary Teacher Education Project, where we have every university involved in the country working collaboratively to review their programs in primary teacher education, to set more common standards across primary teacher education, to develop core curricula that the range of universities can use, to develop materials that can be used across the campuses in our country. And I think that's really a positive step going forward. So it's not something that policy is enforcing on the institutions, it's the institutions taking responsibility for addressing the issue collectively. That project has the main goal of addressing the mathematics and literacy challenge in primary school teacher education. And we have high hopes that we will succeed in that regard. So these are issues that South Africa is grappling with, but there are certainly issues that Finland has also grappled with and seems to have found a range of solutions to. It will be very useful to reflect in the seminar and going forward on some of the lessons that Finland is able to provide. Obviously, we can't translate from one context into another directly, but certainly we can be reflective of experiences in other contexts and the implications they may or may not have for a context like South Africa. One of the big concerns we have is teacher education leadership in the country. And the disparity that exists in that regard. So we have excellent examples of good teacher education leadership. We have good examples of teacher education leaders that are administrators rather than academic leaders. And we have good examples of teacher leaders in the country that are academics and can't deal with the administrative. So I think one of the big challenges we have to address going forward, and I want to leave us with this idea as something that you can possibly take forward as a collaboration, is how do we produce the next generation of teacher education leaders? When Sarki leaves in 4 years' time, who's the innovator that will take the University of Johannesburg forward? Likewise across the rest of the country. Do we allow that to happen automatically? Or do we prepare the next cohort? And I want to suggest that we need to think about this collectively as a system. And the possibility of actually putting in place a program that develops teacher education leaders in the academic leadership role and the administrative leadership role going forward, either at the PG DIP level, at the professional master's level, or at the professional doctorate level, and maybe in partnership with the Finns. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Green. Ladies and gentlemen, I've shared with Her Excellency this morning the very special relationship that we have with Finland, and specifically with the University of Helsinki. So when I think of Finland, I think very fondly of our time that we spent at the University of Helsinki, and the privilege that we also had to spend time in some of your schools. I will always remember one teacher when I asked her, if you can do anything else tomorrow, will you leave teaching? And she looked at me somewhat surprised and said, why would I leave teaching? It's the best job in the world. And that for me epitomizes what we've experienced in Finland, and particularly also the high regard that Finland holds of teachers. So it is therefore for us also very special to have you here, Your Excellency, and to listen to you talking about competent teachers as keys to our success, your success in education in Finland. Welcome again, Your Excellency, Ms Sanni Grahn-Laasonen.
Dear friends, thank you. Thank you for your very beautiful words. And as you have been in Finland for several times, you know that it's indeed a beautiful weather here today. This is our summer. But we are very proud to have very snowy winters and so on. So you're very welcome to Finland. Visit Finland sometimes. And I also want to thank you for the moment, the tour that we had in your school. It's always a great joy to meet the children. The children are very same, the kids are the very same in all around the world. And they have a joy in their eyes and curiosity. And it's our job as adults to make sure that they get high quality education and they can fulfill their dreams and build a better future. It's a great privilege to be here today and have this opportunity to discuss high quality education with you, especially the role of competent teachers as the key to our success in the field of education in Finland. First, and I would like to thank you for organizing this event, and I want to thank you for the deep cooperation that there has already been between the Helsinki University and your university here. I believe that we all, both in Europe and in Africa, must base our future on well-educated citizens. The world is increasingly mastered and ruled by knowledge, expertise, and ability to constantly learn and create something new. We consider that it's important to provide all our citizens with equal learning opportunities. We have worked very hard on this, and in fact, for the past 15 years or so, student performance in Finland has been among the best in the world, and excellent learning outcomes have been achieved with just average expenditure. Most Finns consider that the high-quality comprehensive school education is one of our key achievements as a society, and we want to keep it that way also in the future. One of the success factors behind our high-performing students is highly educated teachers. And in Finland, as you mentioned, a beautiful example, being a teacher is a respected profession. If my daughter would someday say she wants to become a teacher, as a parent, I would be very proud of that. And I'm very grateful that I have this opportunity to share some issues on Finnish education and teacher training with you. You, as one of the leading universities for teacher training, have an important role in training the future teachers of your country. I'm happy to say that Finnish people highly appreciate and place great value on education. We're celebrating our 100 years of independence, and I think education has played a crucial role in our history. Education is seen as an efficient way to achieve good life and welfare. Finland's education system provides all pupils with equal opportunities for learning, irrespective of their gender, socioeconomic status, linguistic or cultural background, or the place where they come from, where they live. Education is free of charge at all levels, from pre-primary to upper secondary education, and even higher education is free also for other EU citizens. Free education does not encompass only free teaching, but also textbooks and other learning materials. For example, for art lessons are free, as are meals during school days. Education is seen as a public service and is therefore publicly funded. Furthermore, in order to maximize the potential of every individual, learning is extensively supported and tailored to meet pupils' individual needs. This means that if a pupil needs extra learning support, schools are also able to provide it also for free. As for the general education model, our system is very flexible. Children are not expected to make any binding decisions at an early stage. Instead, the road is left open all the way up to higher education with no paths leading to a dead end. And I think this is one of the secrets why the vocational education in Finland is so attractive choice for our young people after the basic education. In concrete terms, this no dead ends means that a pupil may first complete professional qualification at the vocational institutions, and after that, if competent and motivated enough, he or she may continue studies at university and obtain even a doctoral degree. Finland is a small country with only 5.5 million inhabitants, and this fact has affected our vision, which holds that we cannot afford leaving anyone without a proper education. Year after year, Finnish 15-year-olds are ranked among the best in the world in proficiency in reading, mathematics, and science, and still mostly thanks to our highly competent teachers, there is no longer need for any extensive school inspection systems or centrally organized nationwide exams in comprehensive school education, so no standardized testing and no strict control. The only standardized national exam is taken at the end of general upper secondary education. Good learning results do not necessarily require continuous testing or competition between pupils. Our teacher training has ensured that teaching is seen as an academic profession that attracts excellent students. We get the best students to become teachers. All of our teachers hold a master's degree in education or sciences and have graduated from a university. Teacher training is one of the most popular programs at many universities, and only a limited number of applicants are admitted to the teacher training programs. Universities have therefore a chance to select the most suitable candidates. Finnish teacher training is based on research, which I see is very important. The key objective of teacher training is to provide teachers with research-based knowledge, skills, and methods which are necessary for developing teaching. Thus, teacher training combines theoretical knowledge with practical know-how. This is achieved through the supervised teaching practice taking place at the university schools all over the country. And we have Jari Lavonen, for example, and Kari Kumpulainen here, who can tell you more about this excellent model we have. But of course, we, like all other countries, have challenges that need to be addressed, such as growing disparities, economic challenges, and decreasing competencies of our students. One of our responses to the future needs has been the new national core curriculum for comprehensive school. It was adopted in the autumn 2016, and it both facilitates and enables new reforms in the comprehensive school education. Furthermore, the Ministry of Education and Culture has launched an action plan to modernize the comprehensive schools in Finland, and our aim is to constantly update the comprehensive school system so that it meets the needs of the future. We want to make Finland a country where the most inspiring learning and education takes place. To achieve these ambitious goals, knowledge and know-how of our teachers is very much needed. In briefly mention just a couple of the goals set in the action plan. First, the new comprehensive schools will be more learner-centered. We want our children to have an active role in learning. They will reinforce every student's learning and educational parity. The new comprehensive schools will also have collaborative school culture and an open atmosphere. This means a combination of interactive leadership and clear goals that have been set together. The introduction of the educational use of technology, digital materials and new learning environments will be facilitated through pedagogic peer training. Every Finnish teacher will be offered access to online learning. We have so-called tutor teacher model. The tutor teachers are now available in every Finnish school. Their task is to assist and support their colleagues in the educational use of technology. In other words, technology and digital resources play an important role in our education today, but only if they are used in a meaningful way and in a context where they provide added value to the learning and teaching. So not just digital devices, but also the pedagogy is very important. And it has to provide added value to learning. This ongoing reform of teacher training has been designed to get through the collaborative strategy work. It has been done together. And what does that mean in practice? It means that the work of the Finnish Teacher Education Forum, which I appointed last year, has been carried out in a broad cooperation with almost 100 representatives of teacher training providers. The teachers' unions, the municipalities and the student teachers, as well as various researchers, school principals and teachers, they've all been active in this process. And Mr. Jari Lavonen, you know very well, is the chair of this Teacher Education Forum, the National Teacher Education Forum, and may also share some experiences from that. In Finland, a lot of decision-making power has been delegated to the local level, which means that municipalities, which are in charge of organizing the education, have a central role in putting this action plan into practice, together with teachers, principals, and other stakeholders. As part of this work, we have also introduced new objectives for the Finnish teacher training. As a general principle, we want to educate teachers who are future-oriented and broad-based experts who create new pedagogical innovations and utilize new learning environments. Teachers constantly develop their own professional skills and their working community. Knowledge acquired during a pre-service teacher training is not enough to last throughout the teacher's career as their work and the world keep changing. Lifelong learning is becoming even more important in the future, also for teachers. Teachers must be able and willing to develop their competencies, and their knowledge base need to be broad indeed. And furthermore, teachers' work should be supported by an extensive network which can be utilized by teachers who seek help from others, as well as to share and combine their competencies at the national and international level. The aim is that the pupils, students, and teachers develop their competencies together. At the same time, there is a strong focus on finding the particular strength of individuals and support them, and on the right to make individual choices. As Finland has a decentralized education system with a very strong local decision-making powers, it's important that the strategic leadership and management system of schools will be strengthened by developing the management training of principals. Thanks to the participatory model used during the preparation of this program, all teacher training units are currently taking actions together to implement the new contents of the program. In the capacity of the Minister of Education, I'm particularly pleased by the fact that the teacher training units in different Finnish universities around the country are now actively collaborating with each other. and I'm convinced that this cooperation between our universities and vocational teacher training units will raise the standards of the Finnish teacher training even higher. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and dear teachers, allow me to thank you for this wonderful opportunity to discuss education and teacher training with you today. I'm sure that we will agree that high-quality education is the basis for well-being of individuals and nations alike. Competent teachers really are the key persons in this respect, and we should invest in both their pre-service and in-service training. Let me conclude by saying that teachers' opportunities to work together, to network, and most important of all, to develop their professional skills are the keys to achieving better learning results. I'm very grateful for this meeting and wish to extend my warmest thanks to you and all the organizers. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, thank you once again for visiting us. We appreciate the time that you spent with us, but we also know that you have a very busy schedule and that you unfortunately must leave us now. So a big thank you to you once again. And I'm going to ask Professor Peterson and our Vice-Chancellor to hand over some gifts.